Yeah, everyone, this is Thermite, and this is Souboutei, Must Be Destroyed, chapter 66 to 79. Apologies for the wait. I got a job last month, and that has been soaking up my time and energy, like you would not believe. I was able to put out a bunch of the series I'm currently doing, Dorohedoro, because I had pre-recorded 4 volumes of it, so I just had to edit it and put it out. But with Souboutei, I've got to sit down and properly record it, and it took me until now to have that energy. Anyways, enough excuses. Let's get right into this. We left off in a really weird place, if I recall. In this reaction, I was saying, "Oh, this is the end of the invaders arc," but Zanka clearly shows that, no, his regiment is, they're still possessed by the invaders. The invaders are still around. They're still a threat. So that means, if anyone else goes in, the paintings are going to be a problem. We have Zanka, actually. I didn't really talk about him very much. He is the lieutenant of the former Imperial Army, or not of the entire army, but of specifically his own squadron. He seems interesting, but we don't really know much about him, as far as I can recall. We have Kairi Kuro, this new woman who is, I believe she's Makoto. The Seiichi's, I keep on wanting to say Seiichi's friends, but Seiichi's cousin. They are related. I did not know that. But she has psychic powers, and I believe her hair does work the same way that that Seiichi's does, or no, that Makoto's does. Makoto was manipulating his hair, right? So it's got to be him. And then on top of all of that, in 65, we finally had Takaha meet the creator of Souboutei himself, Deido, and that's. I mean, so far he's very quirky, very weird. I don't know quite what to make of him, and I don't know where this is going, but we've got enough chapters here that I imagine we're gonna figure it out, so let's jump right into this. I just said let's jump right into this, but I mean that for real now. Oh yeah, right, Rokuro's around too. He's around, he has, I believe, some nitrogen with him, so he's not helpless or anything, but I don't quite know how much Souboutei destroying he's gonna get up to, considering that Seiichi is very much the guy who is destroying Souboutei. He has been tearing through it like it's made of butter. But at the same time, I want to see him get his revenge. I want to see him destroy Souboutei because he has nothing special about him, because he's just a kid. Even Takaha has some level of, he has life experience. He is a creative. He's able to connect with Deido on that level. But all that Rokuro really has is his desire to avenge his father, and his idea, his feeling to destroy Souboutei. He has the purest reason to destroy Souboutei, because everyone else has they have some sort of motivation that is, a bit more heady. I guess that's not true, actually. He has more heady motivation than, yeah. Okay, never mind. I take that back. I'm being dumb. Takaha really does not have a motivation at all, apart from just, concern. Oh, right. Papa came from Souboutei and opened the back door. But he pulled it out. Also, we didn't get to see this before. We did get flashbacks of, the general talk and what he heard, but we didn't see this specifically. Which is interesting, because first of all, we do know that he made some sort of contact with the invaders. He can see in the dark, even in perfect pitch dark. But at the same time, did they actually enter him? Or did his dad manage to pull out in time? God. I mean, I don't know if we really saw this or not, it's been too long, but I don't remember knowing that this was a physical thing. I remember seeing him bleeding from his eyes, but I wasn't sort of, is that a psychic thing? Is that some other thing? Is it just he's bleeding from his eyes due to the fear or due to something he saw? This is the first time that I'm realizing that, no, that's because of a physical action. That's because of something that went under his eyeballs and then was pulled out, and that lacerated, the tiny little, what are those called again? The ventricle, not ventricles. God, that's way too big. That's in the heart. The super thin blood vessels there. And that's why he was bleeding there. It was a literal thing. It was actual damage to his eyes. God, it also makes me care so much more about his dad now. Now that we've seen so many people be immediately turned like that because of the power of the invaders. To think that he was still able to fight back, and he went to his son, and he told him, hey, you need to find a way to stop this, and then he killed himself. God damn. What a man. That's when I decided I'd never forgive Souboutei. Alright, come on, nut up. this is a situation where, like, I'm not saying he's bad because he's scared, but I don't want him to be scared because I want him to be able to, to do some damage. I'm not blaming him for, being horrified by the scariest house on the planet. Yeah, I wonder, like, is this because the room itself is special, or is it because he calmed down? Like, is this room designed to not rattle your brain? Or is it a situation where, like, the reason why it would rattle your brain is due to the weird shadows and stuff, which he doesn't perceive anymore? I mean, the clear implication here would be this woman is the girl. But we've seen the girl before. Like, we've seen her next to Deido in situations where clearly it didn't seem like it was metaphorical. It seemed like he was literally there and she was also literally there. Why? Oh. The parent who raised me, founder of the Shiragi White Water sect, said to me ever since I was one. Huh. So first of all, White Water. Maybe, like, if she is Makoto, maybe Makoto lost his memories. Like, it's a classic amnesia thing, and then he was raised as a girl. Or maybe it was something else. Like, maybe some of him made its way to Earth, and because it's not like connected to him, it kind of did its own thing, and human beings kept it as water. Like, I could see that as a, like, tradition. Like, the water is passed down from mother to daughter, and then whoever possesses it is transformed by it. Like, I could see it. Both people swollen, clouded, skin as hideously white as corpse wax. Many who lay eyes upon you retch and be disgusted. We don't know what time period this is taking place in. Like, it's a very traditional area, so this could be modern Japan. It's implied that she's from, like, an older time, but maybe not. Huh. Okay, so her name means returning black. Good to know. Like, I did know Kuro means black, but I didn't know what the Kairi part meant. I didn't know why someone who was very, very, like, based around whites would be named like that. But also, that explains her outfits. Like, she wants to be, like, a normal person. She wants to have that normal black hair. And so she clothes herself in pure black. I wonder if she's, like, albino. Because that might also be, like, a practical reason for her to cover herself. Like, if she ever goes out in the sun, it would actually physically hurt her. I mean, again, depending on, I mean, even in, like, I imagine rural parts of Japan, you might still have this idea. Like, I do know that, some people do think albino people are unattractive just based on the fact that, they look strange, they look different. So I could see that being, like, a thing where in manga, in anime, in a fictional medium, it's a lot easier to accept that look because it is inherently stylized. But maybe it doesn't look that great. Like, obviously Kurenai doesn't believe it, but at the same time, like, Kurenai is a good person. She wouldn't say something like, you're ugly, or, like, she would be more willing to accept someone who looks, abnormal as, still being beautiful. I believe the idea that Souboutei's mysterious qualities are the result of a single human named Sakamaki may not be the case. Okay, so we are delving into it. As I was saying last reaction, like, Souboutei, it was evil before the invaders got here. Like, they came here because of a pull they felt towards this specific area. Like, there is some sort of inherent evil here. And it seems like, this evil existed prior to Deido. Like, he built the house because of that. Not because, it's not that his house tainted the land. It's that the land tainted his house. Huh. So, are we gonna really delve into this? In the latter half of the 12th century, when this area was still swampland, a star falling from the sky was the beginning. Okay. Let's see how this goes. There's something about this that I really love. Like, the fact that it is written like a journal entry. Like, there's something very false history about it that I love. And that's not something that applies to every single flashback or every single situation like this where you see something in the past of a series. Like, there's something about this framing of it as if it might have really happened that, I don't know, it gets me. I really like it. This is giving me big Higurashi vibes. If you've ever, like, read or played or watched Higurashi, like, yeah, it's not exactly the same, but, like, this general idea of, a swamp where something landed and how that may or may not be part of all of this, and, like, the name change, there's something there. Not only people, but animals, insects, all living, breathing things avoided this land. Plants were still fine, apparently, but I guess not like animals. Okay, wait a minute. That's not right, though. Like, let's see if the series brings it up before I say what I'm about to say. Also, I like this, rumor. Like, it's based. I think this has to be influenced at least a little by the widow of who was it? It was like this famous widow who kept on building auditions to her house in order to stop like the spirits of the people her husband killed from getting to her. It's a very similar feeling. Okay, so she is bringing it. Okay, so what I was going to say is like, this is the gates, and then this is Souboutei. But that can't be possible because we've seen how close Souboutei is to the gate. Like physically speaking, we've seen so many shots of Souboutei. Does it take up this much space still? Like presumably it does. But in that case, how is it possible that you can be here by the gate and still get to Souboutei super quickly? And like, how can you see it so clearly? Like, it's not even that Souboutei became bigger. It's like it's warping reality almost to make itself closer to the entrance. Okay, so those are two different parts of Souboutei, right? Like I was looking at this window set and I was like, wait, that doesn't look like this. But yeah, that's right. There are two different parts. Like this is the part that I think of all the time. This one is like it's more ornate. It's that has to be a different part of the mansion then, because like it also doesn't have these parts on the sides. Oh man. So when I was flicking through the pages, you probably saw it. I did notice this shot, but I didn't have the context until right now. There is still something very powerfully aesthetic about this. What is she tasting? Because like it looks like there's some sort of buildup on her tongue. It's not just that she's tasting the air or something. Like there is something physically there. It looks like. By licking the air, I can discern from taste all kinds of information. Cool, cool. Like it is a very unique power. Oh, okay. So they did come in together, which makes sense. Like they entered the series around the same time as one another, so they're partners. But Zanka doesn't really seem like he works with anyone at all. Like he's already, he's fighting his own regiment, or he fought his own regiment. Clearly, he's not fighting right now. So how could these two have met? Like, actually, I guess that begs the question. Like, did they go into Souboutei together, or did they meet up in Souboutei? Because that would also like pin down when Kairikuro was around. Like, is she from the same era as him, or did she come in later? Yeah, I mean, without context, it's pretty rough. It's difficult to explain. Wait a minute. Did he just do what he did with the prime ministers? Like, did he just splash him with backstory water? It looks like it. God damn, he did. And it wasn't even just like, he could have possibly just said like, I'm your ally, or like, here's this proof that I'm not dangerous. But no, he went full on backstory water. Just like, here's all of it. Holy shit. I mean, if I could do that, like of all the powers Seiichi has, that's definitely the one I would use the most. You better believe I would splash everyone I meet with my backstory water. You're gonna know everything about me. Oh god, yeah, that must have really screwed him up. Like, to see all of that. Actually, honestly, not even just to see this. Like, like the stuff that I guess we don't actually know what he... I assume these are all things that Seiichi saw in his own life, like when he was younger. But yeah, like, even if it was just the stuff that he's experienced after getting back from the alien planets, like, that still would have screwed him up a lot. And yeah, Seiichi will not harm him. Like, he can't do it. He can't use his drill against a human being. Your body doesn't have an outside. So, like, the bandages are literally his skin, then. When I viewed your past a moment ago, I understood how much you despise Souboutei. Alright. No matter who you are, no matter what walk of life you come from, as long as we can all agree to destroy Souboutei, it's all fine. Huh. I wonder what he means by lost his body, though. Like, what situation is this? Like, how has he remained alive in Souboutei for all this time? Like, has it condensed the amount of time he's been there? Like, has it only felt like a couple years to him? And then, like, how is the bandages... Like, how are they holding him together? That's not medically advisable. Huh. Like, is this a magic thing where, like, he literally lost his skin to someone, and then, like, in return he got the bandages or something? Okay. Did we get this before? I don't think we did. So they were childhood friends. I mean, we did know that Deido was from this era, right? Like we knew he was from the pre-war era, or like from the Imperial Japan era. I don't actually know what time that is. Sorry. But okay, so that makes sense. This is also tying everything together. Like, I was very weirded out by the idea of this arc that came after the big hydrogen bomb, let's destroy the invaders thing. But it seems like all the elements they introduced are being tied together very efficiently. Like we've got Kairikuro, she's connected to Zanka, and Zanka is connected to Deido. So like, I don't quite know how it's all going to come together, but it feels like it's going to come together. Okay, so we are going to get Zanka's backstory, but like he's going to properly tell it out loud, which I'm cool with. Like I do enjoy the framing device of having someone literally say their backstory. The fact that they editorialize it, the fact that they put their own spin on it, their own feelings. Whether or not you're a demon, I must meet honesty with honesty. Yeah, he could just use backstory water, but that I don't think Zanka's going to do that. That's a bit rough. Oh, no, he is. He is going to do it. Okay. Cool. Did not expect that. Oh, this is gorgeous. And like, I imagine the like redrawing here must have been hell. Big props to whoever did that. Like, I can envision the way this must have looked in the raws and how much you would have had to remove and then replace. Yeah, because it would have all been vertical, right? Like, especially for a period piece shot. Like, they love doing vertical kanji for that. Usually difficult kanji too, which I guess that doesn't matter because like you can just erase all of it. Like it's just you end up with boxes, but still, it's annoying. Big props for that. I don't know if that's going to tie. Like I feel like it's going to because we have all the former presidents who know about or prime ministers who know about Souboutei. Like it wouldn't have gone back this far, but still, like there's got to be something there. There's got to be some sort of vague connection, but I can't quite parse it. I don't know if we don't have the information yet or if I don't remember a certain key detail, but there's something there. And of course, he would recognize the name. I wish I'd never given the motion to advance forward. Okay, so even back then, I mean, I guess, like, from the start, the painting thing must have been the way it worked, because that's how the invaders work, right? But it's interesting that, like, even back then, like, it's not like Deido improvised, or, like, it's not like he totally refined it. It seems like it's been the same concept of a painting of the person who's going to come in, and then they see their own painting, they get mesmerized, they get pulled in, they've, faced their worst backstory, or their worst, memory. Okay. You're Sakamaki Yoshitaro, aren't you? So Deido isn't his given name. Like, they are the Sakamaki, like, it's Sakamaki money that made it, right? Right? Or was his name actually Sakamaki? No, like, Sakamaki Deido. So Deido would be his given name. So he changed his given name for some reason. I can't parse what these expressions are supposed to convey. Like, the thing that comes to mind is, like, it doesn't feel like Deido is, like, ignoring him or anything, but it doesn't seem like he really cares either. It seems like he is legitimately thinking about it, but he doesn't remember, or, like, he's like, doesn't really matter to me. Like, I recognize this feeling so much from when I've been asked my feelings about like a given series that I don't really care about, and a person's clearly like they're talking about it, they're waiting for me to jump into the conversation, and I'm just like, did Deido do this? That man did not even give my painting a passing glance. Okay, or at the very least, I would have liked him to institute the death penalty for untalented artists. Yeah, like he feels so cut off from humanity. Also, really like this shot of, like looking at him from Zanka's perspective. I wonder, like, if I were in Souboutei and Deido did ask me that, like before he spins around the painting and sucks me into it and I die, / get turned into an undead, like, I would like to get a commission from him. I would definitely say, hey, can you draw me a cat? Can you draw my persona? It's for my channel. Can you draw me a channel banner? Huh. That's actually very un-Zanka. Like, it doesn't look the way he looks here, and it doesn't look the way he looks in the future at all. Like, I guess it shows that he does remember him. Like, the short hair especially feels like it would have, been like a childhood haircuts. And then, like, the big collar. You will let yourself be taken as well, Zanka, my friends. So he's gonna get pulled in, and I guess he might be the first person to like push his way through, to confront his past and accept it and get right out. Also, this sound effect looks so cool, like the way that like the white is branching out of it, but it's not like hands. That would have been a bit too goofy. It's more like just paint splatter, like paint that's almost barely managing to push out, but not quite. Oh, it looks so cool. You'll simply go into this painting and then return after becoming a different you than you were before. Huh. So, very creepy look. But why? For what purpose? Like, clearly part of it is that, he is working with the invaders. But why does he seem so okay with it? Little Yoshi, little Zan. Okay. So they're in the Lotus Fields. So, there must have been something traumatic that happened then. I wonder if this is going to be like stealth Deido backstory then. Like if we're going to see what caused him to, to start pursuing weirder and weirder things that made his brain shake more and more in his head. Oh, is she the woman? Like, is she the girl? Mako? Or is it Mieko? Or Miko? No, Miko would be Romanized like that. I think it's Mako. That's the one thing I can't tell you, Zan. It's my deepest, deepest secrets. Oh, it's gotta be that they both like Mako then. And like that's the reason why. It'd be partially because, he is legitimately embarrassed, but it would also be because he wouldn't want to tell his best friend that, hey, I like the same girl you like. A lot of marriage proposals came from far and wide. Whenever note you sure talked about that. Okay. Oh, is it supposed to be that he's in love with his sister? That was the thing I was backing away from before, because I was like, yeah, maybe, but no, that doesn't quite make sense. But maybe. Like, that is a possibility. I could see that being, something where, like, he can't act on it, but it would always torment him. Or it might not even be, like, a romantic thing. It might just be a situation where he likes his sister a lot, they're very close, and a man is someday going to come in and take her away from him. Like, in a completely platonic way. Okay, so she has, like, better art than he does. Like, at least right here. Could she have been the reason why he wanted to be an artist, then? Yeah, okay, there we are. Ah. So, again, she doesn't look like the girl that we've seen before, so it can't be that it's her. But something horrible has to happen to her, then. Especially since this is a long flashback. This isn't just, a formative moment in his life. This is like a whole thing. After this comes that night. That is the sound of our blissful youth shattering. Oh! He killed her! So he killed her to stop her from leaving. Jesus. So even then, even before the influence of Souboutei, he was already like this twisted. Okay. So that recontextualizes things. And the invaders are going in. I'm really curious now. Like, does he have some level of power over the paint? Like, clearly he must, because he's the one painting them. But, like, does he get to choose which memory gets chosen? Or, like, which memory is used to attack the person? It is really cool that, Deido isn't a fate, or not faceless, but, like a connectionless big bad character. Like, now that Zanka's a part of the series, we have someone who knew Deido prior to all of this. Someone who can relate to him on a personal level. And because of that, we're able to see his backstory. We're able to see it in a way where it's not just, hey, here's the bad guy's backstory. It is specifically like, here is something that Deido did from the perspective of someone who cared very deeply for him. Chapter 70, Zanka meets Kairikuro. So, now, is this going to be like a thing where here, in the moment, like as a child, he met Kairikuro? Oh, that's the other possibility. What if she's No, that doesn't make any damn sense. I mean, I guess maybe if she became immortal as well in Souboutei, but no, because that feels a little too much like a stretch then. Okay. So is it him? Is it his father? If it is his father, actually, that would be a really interesting way to twist around this backstory. That's sure, his dad was the person who strained his relationship because he had less and less time to spend with Deido, or with Sakamaki, I guess I should say right now, since he's still a kid. But at the same time, like, it is what made him such a powerful squadron leader. It's the reason why he was able to survive in Souboutei. And in this moment, it's the reason why he's able to survive here. God, I do love that sneer wasn't a jump scare. Like, it was disturbing, but at the same time, like, we're seeing it again and again. Like, the fact that he looked like that is a big part of, like, it's a big part of Zanka's memory of this. It's it's the main reason why he's fighting on, because he remembers it. How could you look me in the eyes and sneer, Snakamaki? But maybe it's going to be that the invaders are still, like, under his skin, so he had to tear off his skin, maybe? Oh, actually, no. I guess it's just that, it did way too much damage to him. Like, he wasn't able to reject them in time, so he had to physically tear them all out. And, like, with them came some of his skin, with every rep. Jesus. I won't forgive you. I won't forgive you, Sakamaki. So, we're really pushing it. Like, are we gonna see how they met? Or was the chapter title, like, it's gotta show up in this chapter. Maybe at the very end. Like, maybe we'll get a tease towards it. So it does seem like she has amnesia, increasing the possibility that it's Makoto. Okay, so her religion is unconnected to her specifically. Like, she was just an orphan. Also, I've never heard of a group called Shiragi Whitewater, but again, it depends on when specifically they met. Like, if we're seeing, like, early, like, just, pre-face ripping Deido, then that would imply that she's from that time. In which case, of course, Tsurugi wouldn't have heard of her. Okay, yeah, so right afterwards. Like, not just right afterwards in the way I suspected, but right afterwards as in, like, there's still blood coming out of him. Jesus. Unique chance to become a Death Toll redrawer and save Souboutei, but I want to destroy it! Damn you, Sakamaki Deido. You won't trick me with your chance to join Death Toll as a redrawer. I know your plan. I know you want to save Souboutei. It's not happening. Also, she is dead unfazed. Like, completely unfazed. This is a really weird, like, relationship, too. Because she said before, like, hey, Kairikuro, you're super ugly. Don't let anyone see your face. But in this moment, like, clearly she was, like, showing her off as an idol, as someone who was to be worshipped. And yeah, like, her name was given as Kairi Kuro, so why? Like, what happens? We've got to get some Kairi Kuro backstory then. Like, there's an implied thing here, but it's not solid enough for you to fully understand what's going on there. But, like, it's not regenerating his skin. Rather, he doesn't have skin. It's just, it stops him from, like, bleeding constantly. Souboutei. Okay, she knows. And, oh, that must be it. Like, this is why she entered Souboutei, because she tasted it and immediately understood, okay, Souboutei needs to be destroyed. And yep, we're seeing the prehensile hair. God, it has to be connected to him. Like, it's too similar. It's way too similar. There's no way that this is just a coincidence. And okay, so she is 100%, like, it was implied before, but I thought, maybe there's something we're not seeing. Like, I'm always looking for that double twist. But clearly, it's not here. She was 100% being controlled. Yeah, and it's not even like she understands that it was a lie or anything. She's just accepted it. She's internalized it. And this is where she's going to slowly start catching on that, oh yeah, I guess this woman is not from modern day. Though that brings up its own question of how in the hell did they survive? Like, Souboutei is not just a magic house where magic things happen. Like, so far we've been getting explanations for everything. Like, everyone with powers has a, like, not a super concrete reason for the powers, but, like, it's there. There's a reason. Like, even if Kairikuro isn't connected to the White Water, at the very least, we need to understand how it is that she and Zanka survived in Souboutei. Because, like, they're not zombies, and it doesn't seem... Like, maybe she was broken down. Like, maybe part of being infected by the, the invaders is that they give you immortality, perhaps? Like, maybe when they go fully into you, you become a zombie, but if they just, like, dip in and out, then you can't age? That's a stretch. I'm kind of just guessing now. Okay. Oh, that's so cool that he's using, the imperial name of Japan, and he's like, no, they said in school that's in Showa 48. It's called Japan. Ah, and that works so well because they're both from the Showa era. Like, if he was from an even earlier era, then this wouldn't have worked very well. But because they remember it, oh my god. Okay, so we are like that's the common thread. That's so cool. Like just as I was considering it, just as it occurred to me that yeah, this is real messed up, and they haven't explained it. We're finally getting maybe not an explanation, but at the very least, it's being brought up. Also, very interesting shots. Ever since I used that paint to make the first tableau, perhaps. Oh, maybe it's that if you're painted by Deido, then you don't die. Like he did a self-portrait, then he did. He didn't make a painting of Kairikuro though, as far as we've seen. But to be fair, we haven't seen them go back into Souboutei. Like presumably, she would have been painted so that she would have been attacked. And he's still focusing on the mummy. Wait a minute. Oh my god, was the mummy the leader of the Shiragi Whitewater sect? Maybe. Like she looked similar, but she wasn't getting married or anything. Nope, that's not your sister. Okay, I guess we're gonna see her deal real soon. Like, we're gonna see it in person. By the way, Kairi Kura with her tongue out is super cute. But it's not, like, obscenely moe or anything. Like, I don't know, there's something about this tongue that I think it's the line in the middle. Like, that changes it from being, like, just a pure moe tongue to being, slightly realistic. But at the same time, it's not, like, gross or anything. It's just, it is just a character putting out her tongue. Is like that's maybe it's supposed to be his sister. Like, after killing her, he painted her, back in her prime, back when, he first fell in love with her. And then because of that, maybe she was spawned from the painting? Hmm. It's also so weird, like, for me to look at the painting and look at her and see that her in real life, like the real her, looks less realistic than the painting. Like that's trippy. I am curious to hear, like, what was the Japanese art world like back in, the early Showa period slash, end of the Meiji era? Like, what was coming out? Because I do feel like the creator of Souboutei is the kind of person who would like make sure that this kind of dark art wouldn't be appreciated. Like, it seems like he cares enough about art that he would try to make it historically accurate. Yeah, I mean, that's what we love about Takaha. He sure as heck doesn't lie. Okay, in my gut, I'm prepared. That's why, before I get killed, the least I can do is ask questions. What the hell is this place? Yeah, okay, so he's really digging into it. And I feel like these all must be connected then. Like, the fact that the invaders suck people into paintings that Deido makes, the fact that Deido also had the hands that, seem very separate from the invaders. Like, they're not just him controlling the invaders, they are separate hands. Huh. And then the fact that he's still alive, like, that has to tie into it too. Like, is it the easy answer would be like he made a deal with the invader? No, even then, the invaders didn't come that early, did they? Uh no, they did. They did. That's right, because the plane disappeared then, right? No, that was way too early for the plane. Hold up. This is a good reaction image. I'm gonna need to save this one. The outer structures of their work. So, with this painting, we are currently here. Sure. Ah, so he makes his own paints. That's really cool. This red is not the color I see, not the sickly green, not this filthy yellow. God, before digital coloring especially, it must have been real hell to try and get the right colors. Like, I know people who work with physical paint and whatnot that have a real tough time making things work out perfectly, and, if they screw up, then they screw up. Whereas with digital, at the very least, you can do, like, you can do layers, you can do, like, interesting color mixing, you can always, like, reverse things. And especially this, the idea that you can make completely perfect color representations. Like, you can choose any color you want, and you can tweak it down to, like, the very last bit of tint or bit of shading. Ah, if only I had the color. If only I could make the paints. If I could only take the color I see in my brain and represent it in the world. I mean, I can also accept that a lot. Like, he's already pretty shaken up. He's pretty messed up. But for him to, like, reach out and try and find that specific color and to try so hard and not get it, like, I can see why he would do anything to try and get it. Man, I would love to see a, like, Shafts, like, it would have to be animated by Shafts. I can't imagine Souboutei working with anyone else. Like, I can barely imagine Souboutei being animated. But I can see, like, the Shaft approach to arts. Like, especially with the different textures and, like, different art styles, hard cuts between different art styles, uh, definitely cutting between people in different positions, like, without showing the passage of movements. Like, I could see that, but I can't imagine any other studio doing it properly. Hmm. You are an artist, aren't you? Do you not wish for good paints? Ah, it's gotta be the invaders then. Because, like, they are water. So, like, presumably, in addition to being able to do all sorts of other things, they could shapeshift into the correct color. Like, no matter what color it is, he could psychically, like, transfer that specific color into them, and they could turn into the paints. Okay, gosh. Oh, that's such a good cut. Like, the cut from them going down to the flashback of Deido going down. Okay. Hmm. Oh, and the cut from, like, this tiny little, puddle of paint or, the water to the entire place being, filled with it. In that room, reflecting light and shifting patterns of color, a dark water he had never seen before was pooled on the floor. So that's it. He's been using the invaders. And then, I mean, naturally, that makes sense. He takes the invaders, he uses the invaders to make the paintings. That creates, like, a psychic link between the victim and the painting. Then the invaders pull them in. I don't quite understand how that works, but even then, like, you could say it's like, quantum physics or some nonsense. And then from there, they enter their minds, invade them. Yeah, like, I can see how things are vaguely working out there. And, like, it makes such obvious sense in hindsight, but I wouldn't have thought about it until very recently. Like, until it was basically being thrust in my face. Yeah, that is, like, as an artist especially, I love that. I love that Taka isn't freaking out because it's like an eldritch abomination. He's freaking out because the colors are so insane. Also, I do love that Deido is not doing this, like, as an evil flex or anything. He's just he just wants to show it to Takaha because Takaha is an artist. Like, he wants to flex a little. Like, it's not an evil flex, it's just a flex. Yeah, so it changes in response to his thoughts, which makes it the perfect paint. God, this is the very color from within my brain. Oh, not even into the color you imagine, but into an even more beautiful color. God, like, that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. Like, clearly Taka's not gonna like it after he understands what it truly is, but still. Nor even needing the palette, merely using it as a tray out of habits. Right, okay, it's gotta be his sister then, right? Ah, yeah, okay. Like, it was throwing me off because we saw her as an adult, and clearly she didn't look like that as an adult. Hmm. From that painting came the guests. Okay. Ah, the face of my sister, which I had painted. Okay. So it was jumping out of the painting, but then obviously because the air is full of nitrogen, it disintegrated. But, like, it kept on doing it. Huh. That's also such an interesting visual, like, that it wasn't just once as, like, a scary moment. Like, it kept on trying to do it. And like, the first time, Data was not even that freaked out. Like, he wasn't screaming or anything. He just jumped back, but, like, he kept himself composed. And then he kept on looking as it continued to do it. Oh, that's so weird. And with strength I wouldn't expect from my sister. Yeah, so he was the very first one to be pulled in. So he had to have, like, made a contract with it, I suppose. Huh. Rising from this hallowed ground, the vast, sprawling mansion, master of the town, the libertine, and the portrait artists. Which we now know, like, those are all one person. Huh. I wonder if this follows the same rhythm as the song she was singing before. The tale of a certain life form. So I guess she must be like, a clone of his sister created from his memories then. Yeah, she probably knows more about this than you do. Once upon a time, in a far, far away place, there was a life form with a body made of water. A single one survived the trip. Its body covered in wounds and with almost no energy left inside. And of course, it was attracted to here. So, But it wasn't the same water. Like, it must just be a different species. Like, in the same way that we had the invaders, which were made of water, and him, who was also made of water. And they were compatible enough that they could, steal some of him and use it to replenish themselves. Like, is this just a third one then? But also, it was attracted to this specific place. Like, is this the genesis of why Souboutei is this, like, cursed grounds? Or was it drawn here because it was already dark for some reason? Alright. It relates to the life form's method of transference. Also, I do really love this, that, like, we're seeing that flashback again, yet, like, it's being cut in between the new parts. Like, just drawing a parallel between them. So yeah, like, it was just happenstance, or it was happenstance for the life form and for Deido. Like, neither of them planned this. But whether there's something beyond this, like, I don't know. It could be coincidence. Like, it's scary enough if it is just a complete random coincidence that this, like, severely sick person and this, alien life form were able to find each other and find this mutual symbiosis. Thus, with that very act of painting, its body was transformed perfectly into a passageway. Okay. Oh! So it couldn't be flat. Huh. I guess that also means that, like, the area where the water's all pooled up right now is technically not flat. It is three-dimensional. Or, like, even, something that's flat is still three-dimensional, but, like, I guess it has to be spread very thin before it can be a passageway. That also means that, like, there are very few instances in which this would have made perfect sense. Like, Deido had to be, someone who would take that water and specifically think, I'm going to paint with this. Like, he was the perfect person for that. Because I guess the water, like, in another world, in another situation, maybe it could have, like, poured itself over a wall or something. Like, worked its way up and then poured its way down. Fuck. And, like, again, it's such a perfect combination of people. Because no other human being would be like this. It's because Deido is like this that I imagine he's still around. Why he has this weird symbiosis with Souboutei. Right, 75, Deido and the Invaders. It feels like we're really getting all of the backstory. Like, all the Deido backstory, I guess. Like, partially from the Zonka side of things and partially from this. It makes sense. Like, it seems like the series is coming to an end. I don't know exactly when it is. I know that I saw that news story saying that it was coming to an end. I don't know if it's actually over or not. But either way, like, the basest, most powerful part of a horror is what you don't know. But if the series is coming to an end, then we can start explaining things. And then that shifts the story from being something that is scary because you don't know what's going on to something that is, scary in hindsight because now you understand it. And what was going on was very disturbing. That water wrapped around my body. So he was the first victim. So, like, it's not that he's psychic, but rather, or I guess he might be, like, very, very lightly psychic. Or if he isn't psychic, at the very least, he has incredible intuition. Oh boy, we will rattle its mental processes. But yeah, oh my god, I didn't consider that. The whole reason he wanted Souboutei was because it would shake his brain. And in a way, like, the method in which the invaders invade people is by shaking their brain, by bringing up something that is very traumatic, that is very intense for them. It's not that super weird, but, like, it is scary at the very least. Huh. We must destroy this being's soul, but god, Deido fought back. Deido was able to overpower the black water. But again, like, this isn't a situation, like, he was horrified because of this, but they can't understand it. They can't understand the process that led to him going from this to killing her. That's gonna be it. Oh my god! Like, I'm usually not that impressed by stretchy art and, like, like, super exaggerated facial expressions. Like, that's not a thing that really gets me a lot of the time, but Souboutei has been knocking it out of the park. Time after time. Like, once I'm done Souboutei, I'm probably going to jump onto one of the other many things I've said I was going to do on the channel, but eventually, like, I've heard a lot of good things about Karakuri Circus. I might give it a shot now. Like, jeez. Oh my god. Again, like, I am at a loss to understand, like, to envision how this could be animated, but if it could be done perfectly, then I would, oh my god. Deido's invasion. Deido's invasion. So, are we going to say that, everything up to this point, like, before this point, it was all happenstance, but as of this point, are we going to say that, the water's desire to leave and all of that, like, was that all because of Deido? Like, did Deido plan out exactly how this was going to work? Like, did it go from being its invasion to Deido's invasion? Right, and they already took the form of, of his sister, like, through the painting, so they would be most in tune with it, and yet he's someone who was willing to kill his sister, the person he loved the most. I will teach you a saying we have on Earth. If you gaze long enough into abyss, the abyss will gaze back into you. Did Nietzsche predate the, was Nietzsche around in the Meiji era? I don't actually know. I legitimately don't know. I imagine so, then. God damn. And, like, yeah, it's not even that he's controlling the water inside of him. He's pulling his, he's sending his will out into the water. Like, he's controlling the water outside of him. To be invaded. Oh my god, that's it. It's not the whole plan. It's specifically this. He is invading them. Like, he's invading their minds. He's invading their, existence. Huh. And in a way, that makes a lot of sense. Like, they are super highly evolved, but at the same time, like, what they want is extremely basic. It is one of the most common, parts of life to continue to live. Whereas, like they've evolved so much that they've gone back to being very simplistic, very basic. Whereas Deido is extremely complicated. And he's from an era where, like, minimalism was, as far as I can recall, not really a thing. Like, in art to some extent, maybe, but even then, like, Deido's art is not minimalistic in the slightest. Like, he's all about that texture and all about that, like, heavy darkness. That stuff all over. So I can imagine, like, his mind is very similar. It is highly textured. It is a thing that is real difficult to get around. It's the exact opposite of, what's that term? The term for something that is, like, completely intuitively simple. Yeah. Like, he is literally reducing them to just paints. He sees them just as paint, and now he's, like, sending that out into them. You may become my paints. I will use you to make arts. Oh, and that's his outfit then. Or no, never mind. He already had the outfit on. I was gonna say, like, maybe he painted himself the outfit, but no. But he's, like, rising out of it, and as he's rising out, the energy that symbolizes his thought processes is invading further and further into it. For those who have lived 2 billion years, you are all truly shallow beings. Oh my god! And that's how they became white water. Like, god, that's such a cool visual! For them to go from being black water to white water because they've been filled with his thoughts. And then... and that's why, like, it doesn't go by his sister's name, it goes by Shino. So, it isn't his sister. It is, like, a representation of the water itself. Of the invaders themselves. Okay, so that's how he's immortal. But even then, like, yeah, we converse the aging of your cells. Like, that's basically what went on with Seiichi and with those who are, working with him. But even so, like, that doesn't explain Zonka, it doesn't explain Karakuro. Well, actually, if we are going to say that Karakuro is the result of him, or something else like him, another body of water, that would explain that. But then Zonka, I guess Zonka might just be, the holy water. Like, Karakuro is capable of, turning that water into hers, or, like, like, the part of him inside of her that is there is, like, self-replicating, and that's how she creates the water. Like, it literally creates itself over time. And that's what she's been giving Zonka, and that's why he's able to survive, maybe. Yeah, so, like, he has infinite time now, so he, like, it's not even that he has to help, it's more just that there's now the possibility of him helping. God damn. But yeah, and I love this dynamic that Deido, again, does not notice that this is a bad thing. Like, it doesn't concern him at all. He was just telling a story about how he became the artist he is to another artist, and he didn't consider the idea that this is buck wild. I mean, he's not wrong. He did say he was Sakimaki Deido. Taka, that's on you for not believing it. Then again, like, because he doesn't care about the invaders at all, I could honestly see Taka, like, saying, like, hey, stop it, and Deido saying, sure, that's fine, I don't care about him. Chapter 77, Afraid of Deido. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I mean, the fact that he's painted all this time, like, and he still is, like, I mean, I guess he's been stagnating. Like, he hasn't communicated with anyone else. Taka's work must be revolutionary. Like, it might not be what he likes, but it must be very different. That's just a sketch that's not finished. I wonder, like, we've already seen Taka work with the Kirita sisters to summon his god. Like, is Taka going to paint something using the invaders? I could see that being a component of the series. I don't quite know why that would happen. Maybe to defeat Deido, or maybe to defeat, like, again, if there is a darkness beyond Deido. So far, it seems like what the series is implying is that it's just this happenstance of Deido. I've said this already, but, you know, Deido's darkness happening to coincide with this alien paint. For I guess I should be calling them the invaders. Like, I don't like calling them paint. That is very dehumanizing, even if they're not human. A truly weak and insignificant being we are. On top of that, we are forced to follow that man's every order. Are these crocodile tears, though? It feels like this might be a trick. Make the mansion airtight, then work to reduce the nitrogen within. Okay, so that explains, like, why, you know, the zombies and whatnot can survive within Souboutei. Oh, okay. So that's why, like, all the stuff literally has the invaders within it. Because, like, they actually burrowed into each of the building tools. Bringing more of our brethren through the passages painted by Deido, we desperately scrambled to produce our enclosure. So how does that change it, though? Or actually, are they pushing it all closer together? Maybe. Ah, we also produced a powerful magnetic field and wrapped the mansion in white gas. Yeah, so, like, okay, interesting. But even then, like, they can't even do anything worth doing, really. They can just, like, they have to, like, work so hard to maintain Soboutei's, you know, nitrogen low environments. And then all they can really do here is just wander around. Like, the zombies don't really do anything apart from attack people sometimes. In order to build this environment, we've nearly used up all of our energy. Which makes sense if Deido in the back of his head didn't want them to take over the world, or if he just wanted to keep them controllable so he could continue to paint with them. Only me and the small amount of our body in the basement. That is all that remains of us. Because, yeah, the nitrogen explosion. Well, that and also, like, their planet was dying. So even if Deido was slowly painting, you know, according to his own whim, like, they couldn't make him do anything. If he was putting in just the amount of effort he cared about, then they probably didn't save most of their body from the planet as it was being destroyed. Or actually, no, I'm being no, that is true. Like, the invaders didn't send out all of their body, right? They sent a ton of probes out. Most of them got destroyed. One of them ended up on Earth, but the main body was still on the planet. Like, that was the point of the portals. But then again, no. Yeah, because Deido was on the planet. He took them over. So, like, he had dominion over them when he was there. He came back. So, yeah, they would have still been on the planet slowly dying while he decided to make portals. God. I mean, the titles of Souboutei chapters are amazing. Like, I love it whenever we get a chapter title, and then we get another title that plays on the title, or we get, like, something like this, where at the start of the chapter, we get one meaning of, we are, you know, afraid of Deido. And then here, we're getting a totally different interpretation that I did not expect, but that which makes absolute perfect sense now that I've read the chapter. Like, oh my god. What insanely masterful work. My mind is blown, legitimately. And that's why they're not like, you know, the original invaders that Seiichi fought. That's why they're not like any of the others. Because they've been taken over by Deido. Because they've accepted human emotions. Or at least the emotions that Deido has. We cannot help but fear him. And has become a weakness such that we cannot sever ourselves from Deido's control. Yeah, like, he is extremely unique. Like, they have no way to invade him. And, like, because of his control over them, they can't just, cut his neck off. They can't just kill him. Like, they've already made him immortal. So what they need is courage. But they don't understand it. Like, they don't comprehend the idea of courage. And I don't know if Rokuro would give courage to the invaders. Because that's the thing, like, how do we know that they're not going to backstab Deido and say, like, okay, that's the one, he was the one person stopping us from taking over the world, let's take over. Like, it's completely possible. There's nothing stopping them otherwise. And Rokuro wants to destroy Souboutei, and now they've explained that they are Souboutei, for better or for worse. Like, in order to destroy Souboutei, they need, if he just kills them, that's it. Like, the physical place is gone. Like, it's finally gone. The paintings can't, you can't make any more of them. The existing ones are still around. But, like, once the physical structure of Souboutei is destroyed and the nitrogen comes back in, then presumably the paintings will also be destroyed over time. I've told you our secrets thus far so that you would not fear me. Will he? Like, Rokuro's a good kid. I could see him doing it, but at the same time, I don't know if that's a good idea or not. Okay. Oh, right. For a minute there, I thought that was Zonka, but no, it's one of his regiments. Also, I do like that flash, just to say that, yes, it's not that, like, she was away. It's not that she just wasn't around. Like, she was trying. This is the reason why she wasn't able to get there while the water was invading him. Gosh, she's so cool! Also, that shot makes it look like she has, like, little bat ears almost. It's pretty cute. Yeah, alright, here we go. Ooh, that's a... I don't know how I would retypeset this, but breaking into 3 syllables is a bit rough. Like, it's very... I know her name, and yet it was hard for me to parse this. Maybe if you use just a smaller font for this. Like, Souboutei works well, because it is, Souboutei. Roku Ro. But Kai Riku Ro, when it's supposed to be Kairi Kuro, that's a roughie. Like, just use this size for Kairi Kuro told me. Like, I know I'm nitpicking it. You guys are the scanlators. You know better than I do, for sure. But I don't know. That really jumped out at me as being weird. Which, by the way, I don't really say that often, but this scanlation is fantastic. Like, the quality of it is superb, so I don't want to, brag on it for one thing and act as if, that makes it awful. Like, no, it's fantastic. That's just the one small thing that jumped out at me this entire time. We beg you, teach us how to be brave. Like, there's something so inherently, like, there's something about that. Not just asking for someone to be brave for you, but asking someone, can you just lend us your bravery? Literally, can you lend us the energy that human beings have that allows you to be brave? Because that's something we just do not possess. Even this air within Souboutei's toxic test, like, they are dying even now. Like, that's why she's only manifested every once in a while. Because she can only do it, occasionally, very rarely, just to talk to Deido. Even then, like, she was doing it through the painting a while back, which made sense because, that's even less exposure to the oxygen. Or to the nitrogen, sorry. Let's see how this goes. Okay, yes. A satellite of our doomed planet, and the one we're leeching for nutrition. So it is the same invaders. Okay, so I guess the timeline is, the invader planet sent out all those spores in order to find other things. While they were doing that, in order to maintain itself, it went out and started to suck energy from him. And then, as they were finally, like, generating the energy needed to portal everyone over, that was when Rokuro, enacted that final plan. Okay, so now I think I understand the timeline a bit better. Like, it was all the invader planets. All the invader planet apart from him. And, okay, I see. Oh my god! Was this all a work? Was it all a lie? Utilizing the body of this Rokuro human is the logical course of action. God damn! Yeah, and I get it, because I too was really falling for it. I felt sympathetic towards it. I don't blame Rokuro in the slightest. Jeez. What's going on? Oh my god, is he gonna do a repeat of his dad? Like, did he do that knowing that he has the nitrogen, knowing that he could set it off and just, purge himself of the invaders? I think that's got to be it. Like, this feels like it's going to be a moment where Rokuro shows that no, he is powerful. Like, he doesn't need his sister to run in and save him this time around. Like, he has it under control. Though it might be an emotional thing. It might be that she gives him the strength. Rokuro can be used to murder Seiichi. And even then, like, I assume, like, not everything they were saying was a lie. Like, I do think they do want to overthrow Deido. There's something about this that I find extremely comical. This idea that, like, it's definitely Rokuro's expression. Like, that and the idea that Seiichi would not find anything weird about this. Even when Rokuro just pulls out a giant knife and starts stabbing him. Okay, this one's a little less comical. I think because Rokuro's eyes look kind of normal there, whereas here it's completely zonked out. Oh, fuck, okay, that's really rough. Like, because it's emotional. Oh, yeah, that sucks. Okay. Yeah, and that's why they're so different after possession. This time we must control the flesh while the soul still lives. That said, like, I don't know how much of that was a lie and how much of it wasn't. Because, like, if they are, like, that messed up, if they do genuinely fear Deido, maybe his emotions will be powerful enough to, like, force them out. Oh, okay, it's the opposite. It's not they're trying to break his mind, but rather they're going to keep him in the happiest point of his life. Oh my god, yeah. Like, he knows it. He understands that this is that it's a lie, that he's being trapped. And he's being completely calm about it. Like, I love this. Whenever this thing happens, like, whenever someone gets trapped in a fantasy world, a world of happiness, I am in love with the idea of someone accepting it and enjoying it, but then leaving on their own terms. There's something so powerful about that. Oh! A single drop. Oh my god. I forgot about that. Like, I remembered the psychic communication, but okay, so it is him. It is, him. It's Grandpa. Oh, so it was, it was a double betrayal. He's pulling off exactly what his dad did, except instead of fire, it's ice, or, it's liquid nitrogen. It's the fire. It's his hatred of Souboutei. Even if he, understood and respected that backstory, it didn't distract him from the most important part of this, which is that Souboutei needs to be destroyed, and I can't believe that's the end. Oh my god. Oh, what a place to end it. What a place to end it. Let's go back to that last page. Not the stakes business card, though it does look quite nice, but gosh. Alright, so that was Souboutei, 66 to 79. It flew by like nothing. I feel like this is like a 20-minute reaction. There's no way I talked about this for an hour. Holy crap. Well, we got a lot of backstory, and, like, it does feel like it's all tying together in a very satisfying way. If there are plot points that we haven't addressed, it's because I don't feel them. Like, the series is really good at making it feel as if whatever's happening in the moment is the most important thing in the world. I'm sure if I were reading this weekly, I probably would be more tuned into all the various parts of the series, and, like, I'd probably have a list of all the mysteries. Whereas, like, because I'm binging chunks of it at a time, it's less on my mind. But at the same time, like, I think it is an intentional part of the structure of the series to make you intentionally forget about certain things, so that when they come up again, when you see how everything is interconnected, it just, it blows your minds. There's some level of structure. I don't know quite how to express it. I've seen other series do the exact same thing. Like, Attack on Titan is one of the big ones, where the very structure of the series itself is designed to make you forget about certain things while emphasizing others, and then it'll bring back things that it believes you've forgotten. Where, like, obviously, if you're spending all your time working on it, you're going to figure it out, you're going to remember things, but a normal human being won't. There's, boy, I'm just rambling now. Well, okay. Deido has gone from being just a guy that exists, that I was, like, vaguely okay with because, he helped out Takaha, to a terrifying character. Like, he feels like the final villain. I don't know if there's an evil beyond him in Souboutei. Like, I'd be okay if there was, but like it does seem like, the original, the reason why the invaders were going to Japan, to Souboutei, was because of that original invader pod that was sent there. Like, they didn't imply anything else about the swamp before that point. So, as far as we know, we have the backstory of Souboutei, which is mind-blowing. Like, if there is something else beyond that, then sure, but there doesn't need to be. I can't get over how the series is so sci-fi without feeling like a sci-fi horror to me. It doesn't feel like Aliens or like other series where, the horror comes from, this could happen in the future. It's more just Alien. It's more almost Star Trekky in how it is very fantastical, but it bases itself in something that with rules, something that feels biological, something that feels real or more real than something that's purely magic, even if it is essentially just magic. Oh my gosh, I. I'm at a loss for words. I hope my reaction was pretty good. I don't know if it was. I feel like I was just shell-shocked for, I'd say, like, at least 10 of these chapters. But that's it. Definitely going to try and do monthly reactions from now on, so look forward to those. I don't know when this is coming out. I'm trying to aim for the first or second week of this month, but we'll see how it goes. Anyways, thank you all so very much for watching. Bye for now. Yeah.